Thanks to first-hand accounts, this program tells the story of women who were part of Italy's Camorra Mafia. Some chose to collaborate and are now protected in secret locations. Other women opted not to collaborate with the state and are currently serving their full sentences in jail.
My brother called and said, "Come here right away. They shot Dad." When they killed him that day, it was as if they had killed me too. I was out for revenge. I was bloodthirsty, just like a vampire. My name is Enrica. I'm a law enforcement informant. I used to be a member of the Camorra, and I participated in many bloody wars among clans. But I have always been there for my children.
Enrica was born in 1971 in Ercolano, a small town on the slopes of Vesuvius, a few miles from the center of Naples. Enrica had a happy childhood. She was an outgoing girl, very much loved by her parents.
As a child, I lived at my mum's and at my grandmother's house in a nice area of Ercolano. I was happy. I had many friends. I often stayed at my grandma's house. We were very close as a family.
Enrica's parents were tireless workers, and with sweat and tears they built a close-knit family. They lacked nothing.
My father and mother were very close. They were furriers. My mum handled the furs, and my father sold them. Not just in Ercolano. My father traveled and sold them in Milan and Rome.
Ercolano is very famous for its American vintage clothes market. And in this context, Enrica's father had created a small but very profitable business, so he was someone who knew what he was doing in his line of business.
They were wealthy. They were doing very well, both financially and with regards to their children. My family never had anything to do with the underworld, neither the local one nor any other, nothing whatsoever. As a teenager, I went to school because I wanted to become a policewoman. I liked it. I liked weapons, I liked the uniforms, the patrol cars. I liked the job of a policewoman.
Enrica is 17 years old and wants to find her own way. Her father is very loving and protective, and they have a strong bond, but at times things can get difficult.
My father would give us everything, but he was a very jealous and very possessive person. He would only be that way with me, since I was his only daughter. Let's say he was overprotective. He didn't want me to go out and hang out with other girls. He certainly didn't want me to hang out with boys.
One ordinary day turned out to be very special for Enrica. Franco entered her life, and Enrica fell in love.
I met my husband because he was a friend of my older brother. I was almost 17 when I met my husband. I liked that he rode a motorbike, that he had a car. He was, let's say, somewhat arrogant, commanding, things like that.
Enrica's father was someone who had gone through some legal problems. However, he continued to play an important role in Enrica's life.
He was someone who knew very well how things worked in Ercolano. He wanted to protect his daughter, and he actually succeeded because 2 of his children never had anything to do with the organized crime.
He tried to keep her away from problems with the law. So when he found out about her relationship, he tried to interfere in every possible way, but it was of no avail.
Enrica loved Franco's attitude. It made her feel safe. But Franco was no ordinary young man, and this very attitude of his disguised many secrets.
One day, while he was taking me for a ride in his car, we had an accident. Some dime bags came tumbling down inside the car, and I asked him what they were because I didn't even know what a dime bag was. He told me they were just things that he kept in the car, just some powder.
Hey, stop bothering me. Give me that stuff. It's none of your business.
Enrica didn't feel intimidated. Quite the opposite. Her discovery of a completely new and forbidden world only strengthened her relationship with Franco.
I found it exciting to do something illegal. It was a sensation I had never felt before.
Enrica's father, however, strongly opposed their relationship.
Hang up!
No, I won't.
Keeping his daughter away from crime had always been his goal, and he immediately sensed that Franco was a threat.
Every time we argued, my father used to tell me, "He sells drugs, he's a drug dealer. You don't need that. He's going to lead you down a bad road."
Go to hell!
But the feelings binding the young couple were strong, and their relationship went on for 3 years. Even though Enrica's father opposed the relationship, he tried to at least keep up appearances.
His daughter had been disgraced by a man who was a dishonor to him. But we planned the wedding anyway, because my father was old-fashioned, and he decided I had to get married.
In order to keep her away from danger, Enrica's father decided they'd all move to another town. He helped the young couple start a new life in Civitavecchia, away from Ercolano's underworld.
When I arrived in Civitavecchia with my husband, my father opened a pizzeria that my husband and myself were going to run. We had it for about 5 or 6 months. We worked there. Then my husband decided to leave. He didn't want to stay in Civitavecchia anymore. I stayed on, but soon I found out I was pregnant with my first child. I was very happy about the news. I mean, I had just gotten married and wanted to start a family.
But Enrica suffered from the separation and dreamt of reuniting her family under one roof. So she decided to leave Civitavecchia and join Franco in Ercolano.
He had rented a house where we started our married life as parents. When I moved to Ercolano with my daughter, I discovered my husband was dealing with drugs. He was making easy money.
Enrica found herself in a new environment. She now lived in a totally different world compared to the one in which she herself had spent her childhood.
The Cuparella neighborhood was the ancient old town center of Ercolano. But over the years, this area had become a suburb. They just left it the way it was. It was a place abandoned by institutions, abandoned by everyone. A place where people had to try and somehow survive. I was one of the many kids whose parents had sent to school outside of Ercolano because they were afraid of some sort of contamination with its criminal world.
La Cuparella was a dangerous neighborhood. These alleys were under control of the Birra clan. They were the center of their drug-dealing business.
At the time, there were two clans, the Ascione clan and the Birra clan. We lived in the Birra clan area. It was their territory, so if my husband wanted to buy drugs, he had to turn to the Birra clan.
We do whatever the boss says.
At the time, heroin was going strong, and my husband used to sell it at home. We were making a lot of money.
Heroin had invaded the streets of Ercolano, and the police tried to stop the drug trafficking. Enrica's husband was arrested too.
I stayed at home with two small children because in the meantime, my son Antonio, my second child, had been born. After my husband got locked up, I took care of the networking. The ties with the Birra clan grew closer.
The Birra clan was commanded by Vincenzo Oliviero, one of the most influential bosses of the territory. He managed to bring his clan's criminal activities to an even higher level.
Vincenzo Oliviero was one of the leaders and founders of the Birra clan. He was a man of great criminal charisma and of remarkable organizational skills. He was the one who gave a managerial imprint to the entire group. Thanks to him, it had also grown stronger from a military point of view.
Enrica was resourceful, and even without her husband, she managed to keep the business going. She actually managed to run a whole drug den all by herself.
I was in touch with the drug suppliers. Starting with dime bags, we built our own drug den, which I managed at my house. I mean, the point of reference was my apartment building, but I wouldn't let them into my house. They had to stay put in the entrance hall of my building. That's where I started dealing drugs in a big way.
Her nickname in the neighborhood was Enrica with the bucket, because for the drug dealings, she would often use a bucket, which she lowered from her balcony for the exchange.
It was easy money, and I wanted a comfortable life for my 2 children. I didn't want to lack anything just because my husband had been arrested. I wanted to be able to pay the lawyer fees and support my husband as well. I didn't worry about the consequences because I knew that if they arrested me, all they would do was put me under house arrest, since I had small children.
Enrica was a loving and caring mother.
I would wake up, get the children ready, and take them to school.
But while they were gone, she had no second thoughts about carrying on her dealing business.
I didn't work much in the morning. The real work started in the afternoon. I prepared the dime bags. I had to count the money because back then, so many 1,000 lira notes circulated, they could have turned into a problem. If the police searched my apartment, they would start asking me too many questions. So I divided up the money. I made bundles, which I would then change into bigger notes, and those I hid. I did everything on my own. I was very relaxed because the children weren't there. If someone came after 6 or 7, I never opened the door. I wanted to make clear to everyone the shop had closed for the evening. I never felt endangered because I just had to go out on the balcony and call for help, and someone would come.
Enrica proved to be an efficient and reliable woman and earned the respect not only of the men of the Birra clan, but also of their boss, Vincenzo Oliviero.
The Birra clan trusted me because one night Vincenzo Oliviero was being hunted down. The carabinieri were on his trail and conducted a raid. I realized that he was on the run. So I opened the door. I let him hide in my house, and he managed to escape arrest. It was then I started to earn Oliviero's trust, despite being a woman. And then gradually, the entire Bira clan began trusting me as well.
A drug dealer and a loving mother, Enrica's double life was hectic, but her whole world suddenly came to a halt.
On September 30th, 2000, her house was searched by law enforcement officers of the state police. The state police found a total of 77 grams of heroin hidden under a table, readily portioned into dime bags. She was arrested and sentenced to 2 years and 6 months of imprisonment.
In the meantime, my children were looked after by my parents, and for almost 3 years they grew up with them.
Her father, although disappointed by his daughter's choices, didn't turn away. He actually found the strength to stay close to her. But seeing his own daughter in jail was heartbreaking.
My father kept stressing his point that this had happened to me, although he had given me so many warnings, and I just hadn't listened to him.
After having served her sentence in 2003, Enrica could finally reunite with her family. The boss of the Bira clan remembered her capability to manage the business and her loyalty towards him. He had already made plans for her future.
He told me I had to stop selling drugs. It was too dangerous, because the opposing clan might send a drug addict to check out the situation for their killers to hit the Bira clan. Their lives were in constant danger. But I told him I needed to do something, that I had 2 children to support. I had my husband to support. And he told me, well, don't worry, we'll see what we can do for you. That's when I started picking up drug shipments and taking them to Via Pace. I also hid weapons, or sometimes went to pick them up.
She's a very intelligent woman. That's why she held various roles. She started out being the last link in the chain. Initially, she worked as a pusher. Then, at some point, her great courage must have shown, and she was treated on equal footing with men. She even became a part of Oliviero's protection squad.
She won Oliviero's favors, not only because she was able to manage the drug-dealing business well, but mainly because she had once saved him in various incidents in which the police had tried to arrest him. So Oliviero realized he could trust Enrica, and he could also trust her to carry out heinous crimes, like committing murders.
Oliviero's trust in her made Enrica feel accepted and part of another family.
Oliviero was like an adopted father, not just for me, but for the whole clan. He was a person who gave us advice, so in a certain way he was our father. We called him Good Daddy.
A good daddy to his clan members, but ruthless towards his enemies.
A bloodthirsty person, determined to commit murders to achieve his goal, which was to eliminate the Ascione clan.
The war between the Bira and the Ascione clan was a violent and bloody conflict. There were threats, deaths and shootings in the streets of Ercolano every day.
In 10 years, there were at least 60 dead victims in Ercolano, not to mention the ambushes that injured many people, or the intimidations which scared the shop owners to death. A scenario that only had one common thread: blood.
To fight a war, you need soldiers. Enrica was part of this army, and she was proud of her new role within the Birra clan. Nothing would stop her now.
The first ambushes in which she participated, she often had the task of ensuring the safety of the killers or standing guard. She was the one who provided the cue to commit the murder at the right moment, when the designated victim was on the right spot.
If all went well, there was going to be the ambush on Gennarino Bresciano that morning. Yes, there's the adrenaline that something serious is going to happen. There's the adrenaline, but there was also something else very exciting about it. I saw him falling to the ground. I immediately ran to get the car. We knew that after this murder, the police would be all over the place in Ercolano.
Her double life as a mother and as a member of the Camorra has become everyday life for her. But even if she was involved in increasingly dangerous operations, Enrica never neglected her children.
Everything remained normal. After our mission, I went to my mother's house, as I normally did. I picked up my children, and we went to the seaside, as if nothing had happened.
The emotional bond with her family was very important to Enrica. The short periods that her husband Franco spent out of prison, the couple seemed to manage to rekindle their passion and love.
We didn't spend much time together. Just enough to get pregnant, because he was arrested shortly afterwards.
But a war between clans is a conflict that doesn't spare anyone. The clash is increasingly bloody, and the victims on both sides are uncountable.
In 2003, the feud is in full swing. Ercolano is practically on its knees. People get killed everywhere, on the streets, in the middle of the squares, in front of the police barracks, even inside the homes of the clan members, who are slaughtered in front of their own relatives.
Enrica was now part of the Birra clan hit group, and she took part in dozens of ambushes. Her involvement didn't go unnoticed, and the revenge of the Ascione clan was not long in coming.
I was waiting for my father's return because I had to go and buy clothes for my husband. My brother called and said, "Come over right away. They shot Dad." The ambush was right outside my father's house, and when I got there, I saw my father on the ground. I started blaming myself for my father's death. When they killed him, it was as if they had murdered me too.
Enrica was devastated and torn by guilt. She had only one goal left in life: to seek revenge on the Ascione clan. Fighting was the only way to vent her anger.
After the ambush on my father, I only wanted revenge. Taking revenge on the Ascione clan was my only goal. In addition to the person who killed my father, I also targeted whoever else had been involved in the killing. It made it easier to leave my children because I wanted to participate. I just wanted revenge. I was bloodthirsty, just like a vampire. I realize now that during that time, I had become a monster.
For years, Enrica had devoted herself to the clan. But in 2007, the police force intervened heavy-handedly, trying to put an end to the bloodshed in Ercolano. The vast operation called Reset left both clans without leaders, with more than 50 arrests.
I was arrested at 4 a.m. Someone buzzed on the intercom. I looked downstairs and saw the carabinieri. I thought they came to search my house. They came upstairs and started the search. We were at home, my 4 children, my mother and myself. One of the carabinieri called me aside, telling me that they had an arrest warrant and they were going to arrest me. They wanted to take me in for questioning. All of us were arrested, the whole lot.
Enrica was under house arrest and decided to get back to work with her group. As a loyal member, she wanted to see the Bira clan regain its territory, and this time she wanted to do it. The person who gave her the strength to act was Marco Cifariello, who had just got out of prison.
Cefariello was a prominent figure of the clan. He was a guy who had already been involved in blood actions as a minor. He had been a very loyal member of the Birra clan from the very beginning.
When he was released in 2009, he intended to reconstitute the Birra clan together with Enrica. They managed to reorganize the clan, at least its hardcore, made up of a dozen people. They decided to confront the Ascent clan, even though they were considerably stronger at the time.
The Birra clan wanted to expand, and Enrica was part of the small group now making the decisions.
They knew I was the only person they could trust.
At a certain point in time, she became the leader. Her job was to manage the clan's cash, the takings the clan made with extortions and drug trafficking. The meetings were held at her house. During those summits, the most important criminal actions, including the murders, were discussed and planned.
They knew if they had a weapon, they could safely leave it at my house, and I would make it disappear. They knew if the carabinieri broke into their homes, they could come to my house. So I automatically returned to the clan once again.
The arrest of the leaders of both clans was not enough to end the war. Enrica had now become a prominent figure and was in charge of dealing with the clashes between the Birra and the Ascent clan. Clashes which sometimes involved ordinary honest citizens of Ercolano, like the young Salvatore Barbaro.
Salvatore was a deli owner with a passion for singing. He often frequented piano bars because he liked music. He sang a serenade for me. He gave me away at my wedding. I'm sorry. We had a great relationship. We shared everything. We were very close. On November the 13th, he went down to Pugliano to pick up a cousin and buy some bricks at the hardware store.
At first, things weren't that clear. We didn't know what had happened, why this person had been killed. He hadn't been known as a member of the clan. He was a totally innocent victim whose only mistake had been that he was driving around the town of Ercolano with a car that was similar to one belonging to a prominent member of the Birra clan.
The guys on the lookout for the Ascent clan had made a huge mistake. They targeted the wrong person, and the killers murdered that innocent person.
You can't kill a guy just like that. Simply take his life away. He left the house and never came back. It's so unfair. Salvatore had a sunny spirit. He loved life. He was 29 and they destroyed those 29 years. Since he's gone, our lives are just turned upside down.
Capovolta.
This war ended in a rising spiral of violence. We decided to involve the whole town to take to the streets for a march against the Camorra, to say enough is enough, because it had become unbearable to live in Ercolano. In my opinion, the Camorra in our territory acted in a stupid way. They never produced any wealth. They weren't able to invest. They made the town poorer, affecting its development, its growth, even the local businesses. They wanted to simply stall everything, which was what really triggered this sort of uprising.
The clans resumed their activities of dealing, extortion and murders. Citizens were rising up against them, and the police closed in on the Camorra by reinforcing their operations.
In 2012, there was another police raid.
It was February 7th, 2012. It was a night I will never forget because it was snowing in Ercolano. We arrested 41 people, including Enrica and several other members of the Birra clan.
And that was it.
That day, she was probably convinced she would once again be under house arrest because of her children, who were minors. But this time, it didn't quite work out that way.
This time, the charges against Enrica are very serious. She is sentenced to life for murder.
After the first trial, I kind of expected my attorney would find a technicality that might help drop the life sentence at the appeal trial. But I was sentenced to life nevertheless. My mother died, and after my mother died, my children wanted me to go back with them. In 2014, they visited me, and when my older children were leaving, they turned around and said, "Mum, we can't take it anymore. Turn your life around." They didn't tell me to become an informer, but from then on I started thinking about it.
But the difficulties for Enrica seemed endless. And in 2015, she was sent to maximum security prison.
When you enter maximum security and you see the gates closing, you only have two choices. You either kill yourself or you become an informer. I didn't dare kill myself because I thought about my children. I mean, I thought I couldn't cause them more sadness. When you go to maximum security with a life sentence, you know you'll never get out of jail. I would never get a kiss or a hug from my children, and I would never kiss them or hug them again. I started thinking. I wrote a short letter to my husband. I remember that I wrote, "I'm changing my life. If you want to, you can follow us. If not, you must go your own way. But our story will end here." My husband knew that I meant what I wrote. so he would lose both his wife and his children. He said, "No, I'll follow you."
She was one of the very few women of the Camorra who was sent to maximum security. And after only 1 month, she expressed her will to cooperate and to put an end to her life with the Camorra. The day I went to talk to Enrica together with the anti-mafia magistrate, she was totally confused. You could tell that maximum security had taken a toll on her.
I think that Enrica's repentance is symbolic in the sense that it was very important for the DDA and the public opinion. It meant the end of the Camorra. Ercolano is mafia-free now.
Today, Ercolano is finally free from the Camorra. It is a town that has regained its pride and is moving forward in a serene way, free from the harassment of the clans.
During my 6 years in jail, my oldest daughter took my place. I want to have my life back and see my children grow up. I had everything I wanted: power, ambition, even respect. But ultimately, the state always wins. In the end, we are the losers. The Camorra always loses.
In 2015, Enrica was sentenced to life imprisonment for murder and to 20 years for associating with the Mafia. In 2015, after a month of maximum security prison, she decided to become an informer. Following her cooperation, she left maximum security prison and her sentence was reduced. She is currently still in jail.